for you. I have coffee. I need to wake my ass up. What are you drinking?
Just tea.
Nice.
Drinking tea.
No, I'm not. I'm totally into these two chicks, vodka, elderflower, and pear cocktails. They are fantastic. It's like joy in a can.
Oh.
Do you want to pitch them again?
Hey,
Kidding.
I pitch them when I post. So now I do like a picture of the hat with two of these like next to it.
Nice.
I'm trying to get them as a sponsor.
Nice.
Three, two, one.
Welcome back to another episode of Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. I'm Dirty Skittles.
And I'm G-Rex.
And today we are joined by KK. Hey, KK, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
We ready to get into this? I'm sweaty for no reason.
Same.
I don't know what you two are crying about. I woke up, it was 40 this morning.
40? Yeah.
I have to put socks and pants on today. I haven't had socks and pants on since last winter.
I'm surprised you own socks and pants.
I live in upstate New York. Why would I not have socks and pants?
Because I've never seen you wear socks or pants.
Okay, just because I refuse to wear a bra doesn't mean I'm going to refuse to wear socks or pants. You know, when it gets like 30 outside, that's a necessity. A bra is not a necessity. Unless I'm running.
So
then it's a necessity.
You're out there blowing snow, no bra on?
I don't blow the snow. You want to know why I don't blow the snow? For anybody that knows me, I am 4'11". I have really tiny hands. My hands do not fit on the controllers for the snowblower. I can push a shovel, but I can't do the snowblower.
Speaking of things that they only tested on men, snowblowers.
Thank you. Like, there's other women out there that have small hands.
I love that. Well, KK.
We just got crash test dummies. We finally, in 2023, we have like a woman crash test dummy. So maybe snowblowers are next on the list where they're like, maybe we should consider a woman doing this as well. I don't know.
I never thought about it, but yeah. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Sheesh. Well, KK, welcome. What are you comfortable sharing with the world today?
So, by the way, y'all, let me just gas you up really quick. You know what? Sometimes you live in this world and you don't get gassed up enough. So let me gas you up. I just think y'all are doing such an amazing job. And you have something like your authenticity is it is unparalleled. So I just want y'all to know that it's amazing and it's really touching a lot of people. I just want you to know that. And I'm honored to be here and talk with y'all today. So we had a conversation before this, talking about mental health, talking about journeys, trying to figure out what we're going to talk about today. And I thought that this might be a good opening because it's a safe place. I haven't talked about this before. To talk about my journey going alcohol-free, which has been the past 9 months of my life. And I have been down a hole of research. And when I say I'm not comfortable talking about this yet, like it's hard because I spent a lot of my life, I don't know, like there was joy alcohol brought to me in a way. Like I always knew that it didn't work for me. Like I'm the type of person that can like literally get drunk off of a beer. And so I was like, I'm not like the rest, but I never really took a look at like what it was doing, not only to me, but to women and to lots of people, not just women, but women is a really interesting case study. So, so I want to talk about that today, but I also want everyone to know that I do not judge you. This is still weird for me. Like, I want you to live your life. Like, if you're drinking with the glass of wine, this is just my story. But there also are some people that might relate to what I'm saying. So if this helps you in any way, like I feel compelled to start talking about this. So
yeah, well, first, congrats on being sober for 9 months. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And this is a good time to even kind of plug some of the merchandise. So we have an adult sippy cup. And I'm just saying, but listen, because some people don't drink, right? But we all have a problem tipping our drinks over. This one's got a lid on it. I need it.
Go. Yeah.
Oh my God, I broke Skittles. Are you okay?
It was just a weird segue, bud.
No weirder than the intro. Something we haven't done before.
The sippy cup can be used for other things besides alcohol.
Yeah, that's total. Listen, and that's how you're inclusive now, because a lot of people are going alcohol free.
Yeah,
it's a good movement right now. So being able to say my sippy cups are not just for booze, now you're being inclusive.
Yeah, there you have it. Well, I don't know your story yet, but I can imagine it might not have been the easiest ride. Is that fair to say? To go from booze to no booze, or was it easy?
I don't know about that. I honestly, I have had to reanalyze and redefine a lot of beliefs that I've had. So I'll tell you about that a little bit in the process. But it also hasn't been that hard. So yeah. So yeah, I'll get to that though. But no, it has not. I think that sometimes that is a misconception that people have, is whenever they take it out of their life, that they're always going to be longing for it. And it's going to be this hard thing. And there are things that are hard, but it's also there's so much joy that comes out of it too, which you don't hear enough stories like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm part of that group where I'm thinking as soon as you take something completely away, you miss it. So yeah, wherever you're comfortable starting, I'd love to hear your story.
Okay, so I want to tell y'all a little bit of my story about my mental health story, and then I'll tell you how alcohol was a piece of that. So I grew up in Texas, and I have been a lifelong people pleaser, which I think a lot of millennials are, right? I do kind of know what it is, but that's something that we share is this element of self-sacrifice. And so when I was younger, I started this grad school program, really not knowing anything about anything, and leadership and org development when I was I just turned 23. Wow. And my first paper I wrote was on leadership, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is.
I love that.
I was like,
I was babysitting.
And I talk, that's my profession now. It is, helping develop leadership development programs. I've done it for a long time. And this goes along with what I'll talk about with alcohol, is that the definition I had in my head didn't make sense because of what had been put in there by society. So even today, especially women and introverts, those are the two areas that are neglected a lot with leadership. It's you ask people what that word means in their brain, what image comes up?
Superheroes.
Yeah. Men, and not shorties, right? No short kids.
No,
it's tall, right? They have to have those broad shoulders, and extroverts, right? That's a big one. And usually that tall man is wearing a suit. And I always use this in my presentations that even if you go to to image stock, right?
Yeah.
And you put in leader, that's even what you get. It's not our fault. It's the reason we think that way. But the science behind leadership is something very different. It is communication. It is emotional intelligence. It's being able to understand human beings and understand why they're motivated. Those are not qualities that, yes, if you're a tall man that's on a stage and super extrovert, you can have those qualities, but they're just two very different things, right? There's no image that goes with having those capabilities of understanding other humans. So I wrote this first essay, and I was and I did all this research, and I was like, this is so weird. But then, I was really young at that time, but I was I like to talk people into things.
No. You never.
Which I mean, I've always liked to talk people into things. I'm like, let's go do this crazy thing. And, I was like the captain of my track team. And I was like, oh, maybe I was kind of a leader. Like that feels weird, but I guess, I guess maybe that is something that has been inside of me. So I started doing more and more research, but inside of that program, we had to start with learning how to lead ourselves. And so there were these two books. One was on resilience, and the other one was this book called A Prisoner of Our Thoughts.
Ooh, I'm writing this down. That sounds super interesting.
And I was like, oh my God, because I feel like the generations coming behind us get this stuff earlier, as they should. But I start opening these books and it's talking about how mean we are to ourselves and like different like cognitive distortions that we have, like going down a spiral. So I'm also like very ADHD, and while it's helped a lot of pieces in my life and my career, there's I lose stuff sometimes. Like my long-term memory like can go to the Olympics. My short-term memory needs an assistant. like cars.
Skittles, are you all right? Oh my God. If you spit your coffee out, I'm gonna die of laughter over here.
Like cars, when they started having like the key codes on the side, and like being able to have alarms so you know where your phone is like I love my children. Those are the best things that have ever happened to me. So anyways, like I was young at that time, but I would do these things where I would like lose my company phone, and I would go down the spiral of being like, someone's going to figure out that I have ADHD, and then they're going to like find out that I can't be responsible for anything. And then they're going to demote me. And if they don't demote me, they're going to fire me. And then I'm not going to have any money. And then I'm going to like be homeless. Like, I mean, my mind would go to these terrible places. And then I start reading this book and I find out that it's normal. And I find out that like one of my favorite mantras is that I am not my mind. So like these things that I was telling myself, like I could say, hey, thoughts, thank you. You're trying to keep me safe. But I'm going to put that, I always say like my mental thing is I put negative self-talk on a boat in the middle of like a very calm sea. Oh. Like that's, I'm like, okay, I see that. Thank you. Thanks, brain. Cool. I'm going to take that thought. It goes on that boat in a calm sea, So I start kind of going down this path, and I start realizing that I can change the way that I talk to myself. But I still don't get totally there. I didn't start doing like yoga and meditation until after my first son was born. But that was a really big change in my life. So my first son was born, and I was still in this like very like self-sacrifice. Like I'll give everything to myself, to my company, to my relationship. Like, I don't matter. Everybody else does. Right. And then my first son was born, and I was in labor with him for 56 hours.
Oh my word. Wow.
And yeah, they put me through 2 rounds of induction. So I was like, and like, then they were coming in and they were checking me like every 20 minutes. So I wasn't sleeping, and everyone at one time, like this whole thing is going to be a trigger warning. At one point in time, I'm like sitting here like a dead human being, and someone comes in and they're like, we're going to break your water. So they like put like this horrible like torture device, and it didn't work still. And I was like, I'm going to die. Right. Like, yeah. And then I have him, and they let me go home from the hospital, and no one told me I was going to have like PTSD.
Oh my gosh. I can relate so hard right now. Yeah.
I mean, and I would go to my follow-up appointments, and the doctors would like come near me, and I'd be like, do not fucking touch me. Like, do not get anywhere near me. Like, this is like I am not okay right now.
Mhm.
And everyone would be like, you're going to get the baby blues. But I didn't have the baby blues. Like I had been through an insane experience.
Mhm.
So yeah, like that whole thing. And then like your first child breaks you anyways. I always say it's like a portal. They do. Anytime I'm talking to like women at work and, you know, like I see everybody goes through the same process. Like before baby, they're like, I'm the best worker that anyone's ever worked before in the history of working. And I'm like, just wait.
That's funny.
And like, you're about to go through the portal and it's going to be weird.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I have PTSD. I have him. And I'm still at this point where like I have this newborn, but I'm like trying to take care of my husband at the same time.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, because he had some like bouts with insomnia. So I was really afraid that like this newborn was going to like make it so he couldn't sleep again. So I was self-sacrificing everything. I was like, well, I'll go sleep in the baby's room. So maybe the baby doesn't wake you up. And like looking back on that, I'm like, oh my God. Because when my second kid, I was like, I'm a fucking queen. I will be in this bed.
Yes.
Like I had gone through so much work that I was like, I will have a night nurse. You will all serve me. Right. Like
both sides of the coin. Bizzle, maybe we needed to have that second one after all, because I never made it to that side of the coin.
Oh my God, the second one is so much better. You're like so chill.
I literally got so good at like knowing when he was going to get up before he got up. And I would like, same as you, like, I was like, I don't want him to wake up Bizzle because God forbid he doesn't get enough sleep. Right. So like I would hear him like rustle and I was up, bottle ready, changing him, re-swaddling him, bottle in the mouth before he even cried. I was like,
oh my God, same. And I look back at that girl or that woman in that situation and I'm like, honey, like, I'm like, oh, sweetheart,
right?
like this didn't, but that's what your first baby is. It's a portal because I think for the first time in your life, if you don't take care of you, which none of us do, then it doesn't, like, you have to, because this other human relies on you being healthy. So I started going, one of my friends at Ulti, like she was going to this woman that, you know, was like a healer. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go check this out. She was raving about her. And I mean, still to this day is like one of the most wonderful, beautiful, magical humans I've ever met in my life. Nice. And she helped me with so much that I probably should have known, but like, I just didn't know anything. Like my first session with her, she sat down and she was like, what do you value about yourself?
Oh shit. You're like, I gotta go. I'll be right back. Never come back.
I start like, I'm like, I feel my eyes getting watery. And I was like, well, I think I'm a good mom. I'm like a good friend. I'm really good to my employer. I'm a good wife. Like I love my husband. I love, you know, and she was like, I didn't ask that.
Yeah.
I asked what you valued about yourself. And I was like, I've never thought about,
right.
I've never thought I mattered before. Right. Oh, that sounds dramatic, but it's true. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of funny. I'm a hard worker. And she was like, and then I started crying and she was like, you just got to, that's just the first step. And it was so powerful. And I was like, oh, like I have to think about myself. Right.
Right.
And then we kind of had like these little lessons every day. And she taught me about boundaries, which that like melted my mind all over the floor. I was like, wait, people can't just do whatever they want to you and you just like sit by and accept it. This is confusing.
First step, knowing you matter. Second step, letting people know you matter.
Stop being a doormat.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though. It starts small for sure.
Yeah, start small for sure. Yeah. And then I kind of started going from there. And I mean, I think if anybody met me, even at that time, they'd be like, oh, you're so self-confident, you're so brave, you're so this and that. But it wasn't really what was going on the inside.
Mm.
So anyways, and then I started again, by the time my second son came along, I was like I was a totally different person.
Nice.
I was like, this girl is set. But there was this other piece of that. So I started doing yoga, I started meditating, I started like really paying attention more to my thoughts, even than like putting them on that boat. Right. And I started going to therapy. I started doing all this stuff and really like getting strong in my sense of self. But there was still this thread that was happening, which had to do with alcohol.
Mm.
So, and I want to just be really clear with this, that this is my story. I'm still not comfortable talking about this because there's still that piece of me that like loves to party that's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't want to take that joy of partying away from anyone. But yeah, like I probably like started like drinking as a way of like socializing with people. Actually later on, like it wasn't until I got to college because I was such an athlete in high school. But then I got to college, and especially like anybody that went, millennials, we didn't have social media. Like we knew how to turn up. Like we
filled the downtime is what you're saying.
we did not need Instagram because we were busy, you know, like
Girl, I'm a boomer. So believe me, I know. Okay.
Yeah. And like, I mean,
yeah.
And when you have this habit that everyone else also has, you don't question it, right? Like you're like, if you go and you do crazy stuff, but so is everybody else, then it's very normal. So I was just like, we just love to party and we have fun. And listen, I did have a lot of fun. Like drinking does equal fun. Kind of. I will kind of break that down here in a second. But again, I have a really low tolerance, so I can drink I can drink a glass of wine and kind of be drunk sometimes. And then I am like, I like to talk. So I would always wake up the next day and be like, what did I say?
Yep. That's me on vodka.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't drink vodka.
It's me on anything. Like I just become such a blabbermouth. And again, like, and it would be like this constant shame.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started realizing it, and I would go these chunks of time, especially after I had my first son, because I was like, this is different. And I'll talk more about this here in a second, but there's no research done on, there's little research. There's more now done on women and alcohol. So most of everything that we believe comes from research that was usually done on men. And then even that stuff is really convoluted. So there's not a whole lot of research on women, and there's definitely not a lot of research on women after they give birth, whenever all these different things happen in your body, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's a whole of information that we do not have. It's starting to come up, but we don't have it. So I would go these chunks of time, and I stopped, like, I didn't drink during the week. And I kind of started these habits where I was like, all right, well, it'll just be like once a week that I drink. And, we kind of had like a little bit of a party culture in our last company. Like everyone really liked to like get together and get close and connect through alcohol. And so it was like, I would go to work events, but and that would happen there. But I wouldn't do it that much at home. But so I would say, like, it was like all this work I was doing would almost automatically get erased, like, because I would go out and I would drink, and then I'd get back into that self-shame cycle, right?
It's okay to be not okay. Just make sure you're talking to someone.